thank you, Nic, for joining. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. I've always thought that you were, somewhat different from many. First of all, you're not American, and you were the Chief Software Officer for the Air Force. Second, you started many, many companies at a very young age, and now you had your first exit, I think $250 million from Ask Sage. So can you tell us a little bit about that transaction? So this is the last chapter of your life that I know of, at least.
Well, thank you for having me. It's very interesting. I created 13 companies over the years, so it's a lot. My first one was back in France. I was 15. I'm 41 now, so it's been a while. I'm American now, by the way. I moved here about 15 years ago, became a citizen, I think, 9 years ago. So, Ask Sage was founded in 2023, so we sold in December 2025 to Big Bear AI, which is a publicly traded company. Great people over there, amazing team, and it's been awesome. They are taking it over and bringing it to a whole bunch of new universes, so it's exciting to see. I'm excited it's not gonna slow down and it's gonna be exploding, which really was a big concern for me, to make sure we find a buyer that can preserve the vision and make it happen and grow it across the government, but also across commercial. And I think they were the perfect fit. So we're excited, and I just left the company two weeks ago. So it's been awesome.
Now, Big Bear is, as far as I know, is a DHS vendor, at least what I understand from there. Are they also commercial?
Yeah, they have some commercial work as well. They do a lot in the U.S., but also in UAE and Europe. And you're right, they have a very big also government presence, particularly at DHS, but also DoD as well.
So tell me about how did you make this happen? When you started Ask Sage, what was the main idea? Why sell it? I mean, for the money, I guess, but, some people don't sell their companies, they continue to grow them. But tell me the story a little bit of the company about this exit. How would you share this story with others?
Yeah, I think it's interesting for me. I don't like keeping my companies for too long, so I usually have, 8 to 16 months exit. So it's for me, this is a longer time frame with Ask Sage, because it was such a beast and such a great opportunity, and I wanted to do it justice. But the vision of Ask Sage was to bring Gen AI to the government, but also to regulated industries. So we wanted to have all the models and be able to be agnostic and be able to connect to all the models in one place and do data training once and be able to build agents and complex integrations once and be able to use the best models of the day, and not getting locked into a cloud provider, being able to run it at the edge all the way to disconnected air-gapped clouds. And so it was kind of a great way to get it done. Very interesting architecture we designed to scale, and also to not get locked into OpenAI or Google or Anthropic or whatever. And I think, getting access to best-of-breed models is so essential. So you want to be able to use the best models for the best task at hand. So, video, audio, deep coding, agentic work. Every model has pros and cons. And with Ask Sage, you could do it all. And so that's just amazing.
Okay, be patient with me and let me ask you this. How could you explain and summarize the AI market in this planet at this point? You have ChatGPT and Claude and the companies like Ask Sage. What is the summary of the whole world in terms of AI, in terms of the offering and the services? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, each of the frontier AI companies, as they like to be called, whether it's OpenAI, Google with Gemini, or xAI, or Anthropic with Claude, they all have their own offering. They have their own UI. They have their own, coding tools that they give you, for some of them, not all of them. So they have kind of a portfolio of things. The model is one, and you can consume the model from, anywhere, whether it's an API or another tool, or integrate it into some other UI. Or you can also use it inside of their own UIs, and they have their own kind of look and feel and agentic work, right? So it's interesting how they automated tasks and chaining things together to automate, processes and getting access to your data, your Gmail, your, Google Drive, whatever tool of choice pick your poison. But so they have kind of this, LLM provider kind of thing. Then you have, people building automation with the agents and building their own agents in very specific fields like, coding or legal or, marketing, and they build tools around it. Some even do deep research, right, like doing a market analysis or whatever. So those are kind of tools built on top of the LLMs. And then you have platforms like Ask where we host it, we provide kind of all the models in one place, and we build the security around it, we build the data training, we build the agentic workflow, and we let people use it to build their own things, whether it's a company or some individual at home. And so those are kind of platforms.
Okay, so LLMs, tools, and platforms. Okay.
These days, obviously, a lot of different niches all over the place with different companies building a lot of different things. From companies building automation to create your own video. I was just today trying to use one of those companies that is recording your video and your voice to make videos with your own cloned voice and face, so you don't have to do your podcast anymore. Someone else is going to do it for you automatically with AI. So
the avatars thing, right? I have seen them. They're not very good.
They're getting pretty good. Mine is, I guess I just got one this morning, and it's not perfect. You can tell still.
So people know it's not you, so that defeats the purpose in a way, right?
Yeah, it does. So I'm trying to get it better. I mean, I just started this morning. I'm trying to get it better. But agents, when you look at tools like OpenClaw, which is open source and came out in January, the most downloaded tool ever, open source, these are kind of agentic framework orchestrating tasks, right? And that just changed my life to a point that led me to writing my new book that's going to come out in a few months and kind of talking about AI replacement instead of AI augmentation. We were often talking about augmenting humans and how, you can turn one coder into 40 or 50 people with agents, but now, unfortunately, honestly, I think I'm very concerned for our kids and my kids and your kids and whatever. We can see now agents replacing completely jobs, and a lot of the non-blue collar jobs, from coding to architecture to legal to marketing to content writing. In fact, my book was written in 5 days with my agent Quill and Peter, who is my kind of executive assistant, giving him all my interviews in the press and on TV and my LinkedIn post, and so really building my voice. And he did an amazing job. I mean, it's scary. You couldn't really tell. It was. So
you wrote the book only in 5 days, and the marketing of the book is being done with AI
the
support.
Cover, everything, and the title. I mean, I love the title.
What's the title?
So I'm going to give you a sneak peek, I guess, since most people don't know.
Am I the first one? Am I the first one?
Yep. You
Woo!
the first one.
Can't believe it.
So there is a title and a subtitle, right? So the title is Replacement, and the subtitle is The AI Revolution is Not Coming for Your Job. It already took it.
Oh, no. I was about to tell you, you're becoming positive guy. I love it. You're becoming, giving people hope. But no.
Yes, but the book, is walking a little bit, people, a little bit about me and my journey and how I came, started coding at 7 and, with books that I couldn't read because I didn't speak English, and I had to kind of learn coding without speaking English, and that was tough, all the way to, the Pentagon and all that. But what's pretty cool with the book is it's not just, a pessimistic or optimistic book. I think it's, number one, it's a truthful book, which I think is important.
Oh, yeah.
But more importantly, the last 2 chapters, or 3, I guess, tell you exactly what I tell my girls what to do to be relevant moving forward, and what people should be doing. So I think it's really a guide, a map the top skills you need to cultivate to be able to survive this AI replacement wave. So
it's an AI replacement wave, that's for sure. I have two questions. One related to what can people do to sort and navigate this wave. And second, if you believe it's true what Elon, your friend, I think Elon Musk says about the fact that we're going to be working less hours. He's saying that in the future people may work, it could be a little bit optional. You know, for example, right. I'm from South America. South America, you know, poor people, sometimes they don't have to eat. In the United States, poor people, they can eat, but maybe they don't have other things, right? So poverty in absolute levels has been going down. Now, from a relative standpoint, is always going to be there, right? Because even if you have two planes, I will have one or something, so there's a difference. But so let me start with the first one then. In the past, people were thinking that if they learn coding, they're saved. The future is theirs. Is that right? So now I have somebody today, a friend of mine, helping with some code. She's not a coder. So anyway, so this is a long way to ask you, what should people do in the future to wave this wave?
Well, it's scary. I have not written a line of code in 3 months since I started using OpenClaw at all. So I think, coding is dead and completely automated at a degree that, look, I use AI better than most people, so I get that. It's going to take maybe a year or two for people to get to my level, and I understand that. But I'm a good kind of window in what's coming, right? And that's why I left, Big Bear 2-3 weeks ago now, when I realized how powerful OpenClaw, powered by me, was becoming, literally replacing probably 60 jobs.
Wow.
Full time with a $200 a day cost. So about $10 million of salary replaced by what is $72,000 of token cost.
Wow. So that happened in Big Bear?
Yeah, it's every job from marketing to legal to, and it's not just augmenting like I used to do, in 2024 and 2025, where you would be, just augmenting humans. This is actually replacement for real, and people keep dismissing it and putting their head in the sand, and those people are going to pay the price. They're the one I'm trying to wake up with a book to wake them up to take action now. And, the action is a few things, right? I'm not going to disclose all of the things, otherwise you're not going to read the book. But there's a few key things you want to pay attention to. Number one is, you need to take action now and not tomorrow and not, in a week. So you want to, probably I tell people to start watching videos on OpenClaw and how to install it and how to use it securely. I have a whole chapter on how to install it securely in the book so people can use OpenClaw the right way. The other aspect is not trying to fit in boxes. What seems to become interesting is everybody can become an entrepreneur. Not everybody should, but the fact is you can. That's one aspect of things. The other aspect is self-learning. For me has been the key in my entire career, right? So I was never at school, I never had people teach me anything. So you can learn a lot yourself, and if you know how to reinvent yourself and you know how to learn, it's probably the most important skill you can ever get. And most people don't have the skill and don't know how to learn. They have no problem spending a lot of time watching videos on TikTok and wasting time with half-naked women or whatever. But there's way better things to do. So,
but how about
taking that energy and moving it to learning and watching more interesting videos about OpenClaw?
Yeah, but that is for people with high level of energy. How about it? In this world, you have a normal curve, let's say, and you have people with a lot of energy that are in a certain, extreme, let's say. But there are some others that are a good amount that they do simple jobs that they don't have that motivation to do things. So what's going to happen with those, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 billion people, depending on how you... So what do you think is going to happen with those people that are not motivated to self-learning and to install Cloud, and they're not going to do that? So
It's really bad. I mean, my AI did an AI study, a disruption job market study, which is really scary. I'm going to publish it on my my website pretty soon. I just launched the website in the nick of time.us. So you're going to see a lot of content coming out there. And one of them is the AI disruption study that my AI did, which is amazing, by the way. I mean, that study would have cost me $100,000, and it cost me maybe $20, but you have to know how to use it again. But the study is amazing, including the fact that the likelihood of civil unrest in the United States is at 45% right now, based on the 5-year projection.
So are you saying that in 5 years...
leaders talking about universal basic income, which is a scam. I mean, everybody knows people need something to do. Even if you give them free money, it ends up in drugs and other things, and people, end up killing themselves or, struggling. And so we know it doesn't work. In fact, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, funded a study on the UBI. He knows all too well how bad it gets. And so people understand it's not going to work out and it's going to be a problem. And that's their only answer, because there is no real answer for those people. There is no path to something else.
But wait,
the most protected job, I guess, would be non-blue collar jobs, right? So plumbers and electricians and farmers and that kind of stuff. I think those will last for a very long time. I actually think, unlike what people were predicting for years, that robots were going to take over blue-collar jobs rapidly. I think that's wrong, with the exception of the automotive industry and maybe, taxi drivers and Uber drivers. Those will be impacted very quickly. But the other jobs, funny enough, will be lost first on the non-blue-collar side, the coders and the accountants and the bookkeepers and the content writers and all that. So those will be gone first, compared to what, folks used to say 20 years ago.
Exactly, I remember. No, absolutely. Okay, so blue collar is going to be protected. Now, if a logical thing would be that if AI is replacing what billions of people can provide, that means that the cost of goods and services are going to go down. If my reasoning is correct. So do you think that a lot of people will maybe not be working too much? It's like Elon have been saying. Do you think that's going to happen? If so, when?
I think it will certainly reduce for sure. Not because people want to work less, but maybe because they don't have enough work to do, because they can do so much faster with AI, or because AI will replace a lot of the jobs, which is again good and bad. So I think people will work a little bit less. Maybe France will become the norm.
Right.
35 hours weeks, nightmare, which prevented them from competing and moving at the right pace. That was one of the reasons why I left, the country. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't have the luxury of having your people work so little. But I guess now it could be a benefit, right? So it's interesting how things shift. But I think you're going to see people be able to do more things. You're going to see also new jobs. People keep talking about the new jobs. No one can name one. I cannot tell you what the new jobs are going to look like. People say that to make people feel better, but the difference is, with AI this time around, it's not just disrupting one market, it's disrupting all the markets together at the same time. It's very inexpensive, very fast. And AI will be maybe able to do the new jobs too. So, people say that as a way to make people feel better, but the fact is we don't really know.
Well, I'm not disliking too much, at least for some time, to somehow a house is going to be $5,000 or $20,000. So all I have to do, and living could be, $300. So all I have to do is to, in the market, make that little amount, and that will allow me to have a great life. I'll be playing golf a lot of the time. I'll be, reading,
But you're not 20, so that's the difference too, you had a time maybe where you want to enjoy more and you deserve it, but I think it's going to be a different story for younger generations. I think they're going to struggle more.
Right, they're going to struggle. But if the material, they can be wasting time looking at videos in TikTok for 10 hours. So.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't mean it's good for the world. I think it's going to be a disaster. I think it's going to happen for sure. But I think it's going to be more drugs, more mental sickness and more.
I have a crazy thought. What if religion will be more meaningful? Because people will have a lot of free time. Maybe they're going to start thinking philosophical questions. Am I crazy? I mean, am I wrong?
You have a good take on humans. I'm afraid, unfortunately, as you've seen, the religion has been dying off slowly but surely, and is going the wrong direction. I wish that was true, but I don't know if that's
No, but look, there's a lot of wisdom there. I think a lot of people will say, "What?"
No, there's a lot of ways people could do it right, but we're very good at doing it wrong too. So,
And also, I think that maybe it's going to be easier to get to the bottom of questions about religious stuff. Let's say, I don't know, call me crazy, but maybe somebody will become interested in Christ, and it's difficult to believe or not to believe sometimes, right? But if AI can tell you, if you have doubts, for example, you're not a believer, and you ask specific questions about the life of Christ, let's say, or whoever, maybe you will become. So, in other words, the knowledge of religious issues will become easier to access.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure, and you have everything at your fingertip. But I would argue people already had it for years. With Google and other things. But
it's a good point.
It's not easier now, and really. You can get into more deeper, conversations with AI to get to an outcome. So I agree. I think it's a great tool. The question is how people are going to use it.